Hello guys and welcome back to another Genshin video. The 4-star characters for Albedo's V1 and Eula's V1 were just released, and they actually have the same 4-star characters on each banner. So for both of the banners, the featured 4-star characters are going to be Bennett, Noelle, and Rosaria. This seems like a pretty good lineup because Bennett is of course Bennett. If you don't already have Bennett, I really recommend you try to get a Bennett. But he's also in the November shop right now, so I do recommend you try to get a Bennett from the shop for a guaranteed C1 or a guaranteed Bennett, instead of trying to go on a banner and war for him, because it can be pretty hard to snipe one 4-star out of the whole entire banner. Now Rosaria is also a great cryo applier and is used in a lot of teams. She increases your team's crit rate by a percentage of her own crit rate, and her constellations are pretty nice. And Noelle, she is going to get a little bit of a buff from the new 5-star Claymore, which I'm assuming is going to have defense percentage because it's going to come along with Ayataki Ito. So if that does have defense percentage, it's going to be really good on Noelle. And also the new artifact set is going to come out, that's really going to help her. But she does get way better with C6. So I wouldn't really recommend you build her for a main DPS unless you have C6 Noelle. But I'm gonna go really quickly over the constellations of Bennett and Rosaria. So basically, if you don't know who Bennett is really good at boosting your team's entire attack based off his base attack, and he's one of the best characters in the entire game. His Constellation 1 is absolutely amazing and just gives you more percentage of Bennett's base attack, and his attack increase no longer has an HP restriction. I really do recommend if you do try to get Bennett that you try to get C1 Bennett as well because it's super helpful. C2 is really good for energy recharge. All of his other constellations aren't really that necessary, but when you get to Constellation 5, the increase of his burst level is absolutely amazing as well. And then C6 can be pretty good for certain characters, but can be kinda annoying if you're trying to build a physical DPS because then you can't use Bennett, because then those burst attacks will be affected by Pyro and they'll do a lot less damage. So I don't recommend trying to get C6, but C1 definitely. Now Rosaria is still a person I need to build, but I do know a good amount about her. Basically, her R2 gives her a percentage of her crit rate when you use it with her passive, and then her elemental burst is really good at proccing a lot of cryo, and is really good at freezing melt teams. C1's not that good unless you want to run a main DPS Rosaria. C2 is extremely good. It's similar to Zhang Ling's constellation when you get an increased duration on elemental burst. And then all of the other constellations are pretty alright, but C6 is really good for physical damage dealing teams. And then we go down here, our Noelle's constellations aren't really that too crazy. They're pretty good upgrades, but nothing all that crazy. But then her C6 increases Noelle's attack by an additional 50% of their defense, and that's why it's really good to have C6 Noelle, but other than that, she's not really all that amazing. So yeah, those are all the 4 stars for the banners. Once again, if you do want to try to get a Bennett or a Bennett C1 constellation, I recommend you buy it from the shop instead of putting on the banner. And since both of the Eula and Albedo V1 banners have the same 4 stars, you don't have to worry about which banner you want to put on for more, because the 4 stars will be the same. Now, which 5 stars should you get? Albedo is going to get an insane buff coming the next update because of the new artifact set, which gives him more defense and geo damage bonus, and also the Cinnabar sword, which everyone will get for free at Refinement 5 throughout the event during the next update. At level 90, can have a 69% defense bonus. It does have a lower base attack, but for Albedo, that doesn't really matter. And his passive is elemental skill damage is increased by 40% of defense. The effect will be triggered no more than once every 1.5 seconds and will be cleared 0.1 seconds after elemental skill deals damage. And this is only at Refinement 1. Imagine what the passive will do once it's at Refinement 5. Now this is a pretty cool sword, but it's like specifically made for Albedo. It's not like any of the other free 4-star weapons that we got through various events where it can work on multiple characters. This is a weapon that can only work on Albedo and any future sword user that scales off defense, which I honestly don't think to add another person like that for a long time. So it does kinda suck, but it is what it is. But this shall be extremely good on Albedo, and it's gonna be crazy for him. And then there's Eula. People might say Eula's trash because she does physical damage, and physical damage isn't that viable with compared to like Pyro or Hydro and Cryo, but she deals big deeps with her burst. She can absolutely nuke bosses in one hit with her burst. It's actually crazy. Once you get the maximum stacks for it, it just boom. She's really good and she's pretty fun from what I've seen. So if you do want a physical damage dealer that can do nukes of damage like crazy, then I do recommend getting Eula and testing her out to see if you like her playstyle. So that's all for the character banner. Once again, I recommend you wait a little bit before putting on any of the character banners, just to see if you like the characters first of all, and then second of all to see the Albedo buff. So I do recommend waiting a few days before you summon. And yeah, that's all for the character banners. Now let's move on to the weapon banner. The weapon banner will actually have the Freedom Sworn and the Song of Broken Pines as its featured 5-star weapons. And the 4 stars are the Ali Hunter, Rhinon Song, Lion's War, Dragon's Bane, and Sacrificial Greatsword. Freedom Sworn is extremely good on someone like Kazuha that scales with Elemental Mastery. It's really good for him. It can also be really good as a sub DPS Bennett if you're relying on Melt and Vaporizes. And Saga Book and Prize is actually the best slot weapon for Eula because of that physical damage bonus substat it has and its passive that it gives. But honestly, the 4 stars on this banner are not that great. Ali Hunter is pretty good for specific characters, and you can get some good damage buffs out of it. But then we have the other 4 stars. The Rhinon Song is absolutely garbage. The Lion's War is only good for Kaching. The Dragon's Blade is pretty good, but you have to be at high refinements to get the most damage out of it to compete with other weapons. And then the Sacrificial Greatsword is also not that good because we don't have a character that can utilize it very well. Unlike with the Sacrificial Sword, where you can use it on Jingcho because of its long cooldowns. So my recommendation for this banner is that it's a huge skip because the 4 stars are kinda lackluster and the 4 stars aren't really that good. But if you do want the Saga Book and Prizes Freedom Swarm, I guess you could go for it, but if you're a free-to-play player or a low spender, I do not recommend going on the weapon banners at all. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today's video. Once again, Albedo is going to get a huge buff in the next update, so wait a few days before warning on your Albedo to see how much of a damage buff he actually gets and how crazy he can be. Eula is a great physical damage dealer that can do big newts of physical damage, and she's really fun. Also, getting Bennett and Bandit Constellations and Rosaria Constellations are really helpful, and the Noel is really only good at C6. And then the weapon banner is honestly a huge skip. I do not recommend going for the weapon banner at all. Please don't try. Because the 4 stars you'll end up getting are not that good. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys now know when to summon and what to summon on. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye bye.